Welcome to Peak TV. I'm Niv Dagan, Executive Director of Peak Asset Management, and we've got the CEO and Executive Director of Fatfish Group all the way from Kuala Lumpur, Kinwa. Kinwa, thanks very much for joining us today.
Thanks, Niv. Great to be here.
Kin, we recently raised $1.5 million for you. Overwhelming demand, I think over $7 million of demand. Tell us a bit about Fatfish and the team.
Sure. Fatfish, we are founded 9 years ago, initially as a Singapore government tech incubator. Since then, we have rapidly expanded outside of Singapore, across Southeast Asia, Australia, and recently Europe. We have a seed-to-exit investment model, meaning we identified the opportunity, invest early into a startup, and then groom the business, work with the executive closely, eventually all the way to an exit, typically in the form of an IPO or even a trade sale. We are very focused on consumer internet technologies, and we almost certainly invest based on the major trend of consumer behavior. For example, gaming is one area that we like a lot because mobile devices are getting more and more powerful. People are using that to play games a lot. Millennials, they are born digital native. They play games from young, and they'll continue to look at that as a main form of entertainment throughout their life. So with that mega trend, we are very upbeat about gaming, and we will continue to be a big investor in gaming, for example. So that are mostly how we look at our investment thesis.
And Kin, tell us a bit more about the team, because you've got an exceptional team, obviously headed by you. For those at home, maybe tell them a bit about your background, but also Larry Gan, your chairman, used to run Accenture in Asia. There's some great people. So talk to us a little bit more about who makes up the team.
Sure. I've been an entrepreneur last 20 years, a tech entrepreneur. I founded my first company when I was 23 years old. It probably became the first investee company of the SoftBank Group in Southeast Asia at the time. I IPO'd it when I was 28, eventually exited from the company. Since then, I've gone on and invest and built more than 7 public companies across Asia, Australia, and Europe. So the people that we work with are typically entrepreneurs, business executives, and also management consultants who have vast experience in building businesses in the geographies that we are in. Larry, the chairman of Fatfish Group, for example, is formerly head of Accenture for Asia. He was also the managing partner of Accenture Venture Fund that was a multi-billion-dollar. So obviously, Larry, as a very senior leader of Accenture, formerly has a lot of experience dealing with various businesses across a very big geography, and he has absolutely a lot of insight into how the technology businesses work in terms of the dynamics of markets, people, capital. So those are the type of people that we work with a lot.
And Kin, tell us, how does a business make sort of investment? How does it actually create shareholder value? Because you've got a very, very interesting model in terms of incubation all the way to seed and exit. Talk us through a little bit more about the business model.
Absolutely. I think first of all, we would always look at the behavioral trend of internet consumers, trying to figure out what's the major trend for the next 5 or 10 years. For example, gaming, it's definitely a mega trend. Handheld devices are getting more and more powerful. Millennials, they are born digital native. They are so used to gaming from young. So gaming trend is one of those areas that we are very, very upbeat about. Other areas include things like fintech, e-commerce. Consumers will continue to spend more time and resources on those sectors. So once we identify a sector to go in, we will look for the best business model that we think is sustainable, and then figure out the people to bring in into the business, or we will typically go out and identify a startup to invest into. So with that, we invest early, and we have a seed to IPO model, meaning we would typically invest and get involved at the seed stage, and we'll see through the company all the way to either IPO or trade sale.
Very interesting. And Kin, tell us more about the portfolio companies, because currently what we're really excited about, obviously you've got 192.5 million eye candy shares, which is worth to Fatfish over $35 million, which is more than your current market cap. But you've also got another 15 or 20 other portfolio companies that sit under it, and the market completely is not valuing any of your other assets. So tell us more, for those at home, who sits under Fatfish?
Sure. So as you have stated, a big part of our portfolio is in gaming in the form of eye candy. We are very pleased with that, and we continue to think that there's a lot of potential in the gaming sector. That aside, there are close to 20 other companies we have in the portfolio across Asia, Australia, and Europe. Half of them are in Europe, the other half in the rest of the world. We are involved in fintech. For example, we have an insurance platform called Fatberry that is doing very well in the pandemic situation because people are not out. They are buying insurance products online. We have a new banking technology platform called Wopi in Sweden. We have a e-commerce site for millennials called iSecrets in Sweden that is doing extremely well as well. We have a storage on-demand app in Southeast Asia called Beam Storage. So those are just a couple of companies to mention, and of course there are many other interesting companies within that portfolio.
Yeah, because if I looked at even eye candy alone, it's backed by some very large shareholders, right? Can you tell us who the backing of some of the shareholders of eye candy that sit under and indirectly through Fatfish?
Sure. Other shareholders of eye candy include Baidu. That's like the dominant one and only search engine for China. And of course, the Chinese internet ecosystem is slightly different from rest of the world. You couldn't access Google from China. Everyone in China uses Baidu. So they are like almost the Google equivalent in China. They have been our shareholders for the last couple of years. And we have a Japanese VC fund called Incubate. Incubate Fund is probably one of the most well-known early-stage VC fund in Japan, backed by Yahoo Japan, Tencent Japan, and a couple other gaming companies in Japan, including Sega. And then we have other various very interesting shareholders that come in the form of there is a mobile game developer association that is also a shareholder of iCandy, for example. So it's also a very interesting mix of shareholders that iCandy could rely on if they need any help in terms of getting access to those different geography and market space.
Kin, it's fantastic. As I said, you've done an exceptional job. We like the business. We think the market is completely mispricing you based on your NTA and relative to your market cap. And I want to say thanks very much for joining us here at Peak TV.
Thanks, Niv. Pleasure.